Everybody, Rob Maurer here for what may be the latest episode of Tesla Daily ever. It's about 3:30 in the morning Central Time here. It's been a busy day, to say the least. It's going to continue to be a really busy week again this week, so please bear with me for both this episode and for the rest of the week. But we do have a number of items to talk about here today, which we've got a Goldman Sachs downgrade of Tesla stock. We've got updates on Cybertruck, some rumors on Project Highland, Giga Mexico, etc. So let's get right into it. Tesla today, or I guess yesterday at this point, on Monday, was down 6%, closing at $241.05. The NASDAQ down about 1.1% on the day. But as we are moving into Tuesday here, looks like we're getting some nice pre-market action, at least for now, up about 1.5%. So we'll see if that carries through later today. Getting to the downgrade though, so Goldman Sachs analyst Mark Delaney saying that, quote, "We're downgrading shares to neutral from buy as we believe the stock now better reflects our positive long-term view of the company's growth positioning," and, quote, "While the primary reason for the change is that we think the market is now giving the stock more credit for its longer-term opportunities post the recent rally, we're also cognizant of the difficult environment for new vehicles that we think will continue to weigh on Tesla's automotive non-GAAP gross margin this year," end quote. So previously, their price target $185 per share, increasing that significantly now to $248 per share, but downgrading obviously to neutral as the stock sits right around that range. On the other hand, we did see a little bit of an increase in both estimates and price target from Deutsche Bank. They reiterated a buy rating, so no change in their rating, but not, doing the in vogue move lately of increasing price target and downgrading the stock like we've seen now from Goldman and a couple of other analysts last week. But they have reiterated the buy rating, $230 price target, and upped their delivery forecast for the second quarter to 448,000 vehicles. So of course, as we head into the final week here in the second quarter, we're going to start hearing a little bit more about deliveries coming up on that probably this weekend, which we'll talk a little bit more about when we look at the calendar. All right, so before we get into some of those rumors that I mentioned, we do have a fair amount of new details here on the Tesla Cybertruck. So it was out at the Peterson Auto Museum, as we can see in the background there. And a couple new details from that. Chris Blackmore on Twitter showing a photo of the truck bed with a little bit of extra storage space. So kind of what we see in most Tesla vehicles where you've got kind of that under trunk area. It looks like that will be persistent on the Cybertruck as well. So not only do you have a ton of storage there, you've got that under trunk area, plus, of course, the frunk. So going to be, again, continue to be excited to see all the features that Tesla's packed in here, but nice to see a little bit of a sneak peek on one there. And then another one that we have seen previously, but a little bit more in action, is the rear wheel steering apparently functioning here on this prototype. As you can see, with the wheel pretty askew there, as the vehicle makes the turn. I'll play the short clip here. And it's, as you can see, pretty obvious and pretty tight turning radius from this video that was shared on Reddit by Real Poke Pop. So great video there to show that feature off. And then the tonneau cover right here. Not sure who originally posted this video. I think this is on probably Gregor Truck's Twitter feed. But you can see a pretty hefty weight to the tonneau cover there, and some smooth operation, obviously. This is probably in very clean and ready to go conditions, things like that, but still kind of fun to see the tonneau cover in action. And then lastly on the Cybertruck list, as we had previously seen, the opening for the trunk, some debate or conversations on that, pretty clearly in this photo from some of the New Zealand testing, that this entire front area is opening up, so it should be very easy to access that front trunk on the Cybertruck. All right, moving into some rumors on Highland. So of course, these have been pretty rampant over the last couple of weeks, but Wuwa on Twitter here saying that according to several Chinese media sources, the new Tesla Model 3 will be confirmed for release next month. Mass production will officially start in September and will launch volume deliveries in 2024. So kind of an interesting update, mix of timelines here. Confirmed for release. I think the other interpretations that I've seen of this is, sort of displayed or announced next month in July. That would still be obviously a couple of months, potentially, maybe, 6 weeks or so from the start of production, or start of mass production rather, in September. But we've had previous rumors that, Tesla is maybe starting to spin up production before this. So, it's tough to say. And then the difference between mass production and volume production, not 100% clear there either, unless this is sort of commencing towards mass production in September. But again, then what about the rumors of things happening in June? So things that are a little bit conflicting with each other, but I think in general with these kind of rumors being out there, people should prepare for probably a long time horizon still before we, really see Highland out there in mass. And, it's kind of frustrating that it does take that long, but, this is obviously the first, hopefully, major revision for the Model 3 since its introduction. So for it to be down for 3 to 6 months or something like that would probably beat, the S and the X refresh time if that does end up being the case. And if that does end up being the case, it's probably a really good time for it to happen right now when there is probably some softness in the vehicle market with high interest rates, a lot of volatility in the economy and things like that. So, if you got to pick a period where you're going to do that, one like this probably makes pretty good sense with as minimal opportunity cost as possible. And then we've got another rumor here, kind of similar to what we've heard before, shared by Berlinergy on Twitter. This was coming from somewhere in China, but saying that the new Tesla Model 3 is basically this. The front end straightens a little more atmospheric. I'm not sure exactly what that adjective would mean, but they say the gear shift is really in the screen. So like we see on the refresh Model S and X, the suspension has been tuned for better handling. A unibody die-cast chassis is used, so that would be a pretty interesting update. The battery layout has been tweaked, and most importantly, the price remains the same. So, mostly stuff that we've heard before. I don't think we've heard potentially the unibody die-casting chassis before. Battery layout being tweaked, tough to interpret what that would mean. And then the pricing, we'd kind of heard from Tesla Scope that they expected it to be in a similar range as before, and this would seem to be perhaps another source with similar information there. Thank you, John, for the super chat. Appreciate that. All right, getting into the Giga Mexico rumors then. We do have, also out of China, more rumors here. This is apparently from a media site called Late Post that has exclusively learned that the latest plan for the Giga Mexico factory is for it to be completed and put into production in the first quarter of 2025. Sounds like that's about 1 to 2 quarters behind original expectations. Again, like we talked about with Highland, we've kind of seen timelines that have been a little bit all over the place. I think as Tesla probably works to get everything in place, there's been a lot of talk out of China about suppliers and how Tesla is wanting them to co-locate in Mexico, which obviously makes a lot of sense, and giving them deadlines to do that, otherwise be cut out of that supply chain. So I think that's probably where these things are coming from. And as much as I would like it to be earlier, my best guess is that there is probably some, pretty strong basis in reality to the rumors that we're hearing here. But hopefully we'll get some more comments from, Tesla on that on the Q2 call or somewhat soon. So we're about probably 3-4 weeks out now from that Q2 call. And again, another rumor here. I know we've got a lot of rumors today, but this one is on a possible factory in Spain, Gigafactory in Spain. And apparently Tesla has pulled out of negotiations here. And the reason that they allegedly pulled out of negotiations was due to an internal leak that made Tesla very angry, is what the report says here. So that seems like a pretty, I don't want to say like insignificant, but that would be, a pretty devastating leak if that causes a potential, $5 billion factory or something like that could have been in your country to then go elsewhere. Wouldn't want to be in that situation as that leaker, but obviously there could be more to the story. Tesla could have decided to make a different decision anyway, kind of regardless of that, but interesting to see that report. Obviously there's been a lot more focus on, France and Italy in probably the last couple of weeks. And of course, India still remains in the conversation. So maybe not super surprising, but still interesting to see the update there on Spain. And then next year, we've got an update from the Tesla Motors Club community. A user UK Northampton shared an interesting post here that it looks like when he was doing some Googling about market share in the UK, that there was a sponsored link from Tesla. and did some investigating, and it looks like it is coming from Tesla. It's always a little bit hard to see. This actually happened a few years ago where people would actually advertise Tesla referral codes on Google, and it looked like it was coming from Tesla because it's like a Tesla.com link, but not sure that's the case in this scenario. So if not, because it doesn't seem to be linking to a referral page or anything like that, it could be Tesla maybe starting to dip their toes a little bit into the advertising game, obviously very regionally and, perhaps in sort of a test mode right now, but something to definitely keep an eye on. And if you are kind of in that region, let me know if you're seeing anything similar to this report here. Obviously don't want to go too far based on one instance of it, but something to keep an eye out for if other people are seeing something similar. And then the last couple of things here, Elon, early this morning, late overnight, whatever you want to call it, replying to Holmar's, talking about FSD Beta 12 coming maybe later this year, which I'm not actually sure where this original comment is coming from. Maybe it's a Twitter space or something I missed. It's very possible right now. But Elon replying to that saying that version 12 won't be beta, which is exciting to hear, but also probably not super meaningless when we're on versions such as 11.4.4 or 11.3.6. Obviously, it can be as many of those point releases as Tesla wants until we get to a true version 12. So although it sounds cool, I'm not putting a whole lot of stock in that comment. And then we've also got an update here on SpaceX, just to kind of wrap things up. We'll take a look at the calendar too, but SpaceX did do a static fire today, 6-engine static fire test of the next Starship, so Ship 25, which, exciting to see them start to make some more progress towards possible another orbital test flight, which Elon had previously said in about 6 weeks, which we'll see on that timeline, but starting to see some action there, which is very exciting. So lastly then, just a quick look at the calendar. You can see here for this week, we talked about this on Friday, but we will have PCE coming up on Friday, this next Friday. And then as we head into the weekend, more importantly, we will have the Q2 delivery and production report. So later this week, I'll go through my estimates there for both production and deliveries. We should get those numbers probably early on Sunday. Usually it comes out on the 2nd of the month. So keep an eye out for that. It's always a little bit hectic with like 4th of July and stuff like that. But I'll do my best to be available to, do a live stream of those results as they come out as well. So lots to look forward to over the next couple of weeks. And that is where we'll leave it for tonight. All right. So thanks for sticking up, staying around with me. I guess probably most people are in Europe watching this right now, but if you are elsewhere, appreciate it. And again, this week might be a little bit crazy. I'm doing my best here. Doing my best. I'll keep trying to do my best, but any flexibility this week would be very much appreciated. So hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. No guarantees, but I'll do my best to try to do an episode tomorrow for, I guess, today for the Tuesday, June 27th episode of Tesla Daily. In the meantime, you can also follow me on Twitter at Tesla Podcast, and hopefully we'll see you then. Thanks.